Hello, welcome to Paxton Road TV. I am Sam, Spurs for Life, and this is episode number 61 of Talking Points. And this week's Talking Points is titled Just a Blip, or Are Spurs Bottling It? As we've seen, Spurs in the last couple of games seem to have hit a little bit of a wall. We've got a little bit of pressure's on. The squeaky bum time is on. And as we know, Spurs don't do squeaky bums too well, but we'll see if that changes. And in the house, we've got the maestro himself from Tottenham on tour, Brian Daigle, and also not forgetting he's now turned up as well. I have to add him in. He does this late thing. He's doing this like, you know what I mean? He comes on, I'm here now, but he's in the house. Mike-Hotspur as well. So we've got the three amigos, as they say. Anyway, welcome Mike, welcome Brian.
Hey, guys.
Make sure that you hit the like and subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe to us, and also you subscribe to Tottenham. We'll get into that a bit later on. Anyway, Episode number 61, Talking Points. I'll put it back up again. Just a blip, or are Spurs bottling it? Now, a lot of people say, "Oh, should we be negative on Spurs?" It's not about being negative. It's seeing what we're seeing. You know, we're at the business end of the season. We've had an away game to Brentford and a home game to Brighton in the last two games, both of which I would have expected us to win, but we didn't. But it's funny season now. So we're going to get into this discussion, round the table talk, me, Mike, and Brian. Let's see what we think. Let's start with our guest. Brian, let's just start the question. Is it a blip, or is it Spurs doing the Spursy tag, bottling it at this stage of the season? What's your thoughts?
Okay, so I'll do a bit of housekeeping first. First of all, it's nice to see that Mike is now becoming a diva and arriving fashionably late.
He's done that a few times recently. He's done this. He's come on like this. I'm here now.
That's it. So second of all, what an honour to be number 61. We all know what number 61 is in our club. And with all the concept kits going out, I'm wearing this because Spurs go missing when you need them. So that's why. What can I say? I would love to have said it's a blip. You don't know how to act this. I mean, before the Villa game, or let's go back to West Ham. Sorry, before West Ham, I was going, nope, Champions League, not a chance. Conte's too late. We've blown the opportunity. Then we started putting a bit of a run together, and then after West Ham, I was like, oh hello, we're fourth. This could be a late surge, so to speak. And then after Villa, I was like, do you know what? Hands up. Conte's doing bits. I completely flipped. I was like, we're going to do this. The way we're playing. And then who would have known Matt Doherty would have caused this whole thing. I mean, at the beginning, I defined Spursy as Matt Doherty. It was like, you can't play for ages. You can't find your position. You're hated. You're loved. Wallop, injured for the season. That's Spursy. But yeah, you know what? I've been calling Brentford a draw for ages. I've been saying it for about 6-7 weeks. But it's very, very concerning now. And you look at it with the two games we got coming, Leicester and Liverpool. These games take on even more massive meaning now, especially with us going first. And I think I said from the next two games, 3's a minimum. 4 is what I would deem acceptable, and 6 is champagne and Skittles. But let's not talk about 6 and get ahead of ourselves. But the question being, is it Spursy or a blip? Can it be blipsy? Can it be?
You're kidding me this evening.
Let's call it blipsy. Let's call it blipsy.
Like, okay, before I come to I totally agree. Before the Brighton game, when we had the 4 wins in a row and Arsenal had their 3 defeats in a row, you know, it was a bit topsy-turvy. Had they won all their games before, Arsenal were in the driver's seat, and they would have been 6 points clear of us, blah, blah, blah. All the rest of it. So forget all that now. Now we're above them with 32 games. It would have been 32 games gone at the time, I think it was, or 31. 2 games later, you know, it's like the wheels have fallen off. Again, I'm guilty of it myself, and I think as fans, you're reactionary, and I'm not going to take that back, because that's what you do after a game. You react to what you see, you look and you see why has a team gone from hero to zero in one game, you know, from having 16, 17, 18 shots on the last couple of games to 0 on target for 2 games in a row. When you need to show some fight, show some spirit, at least put in a performance, That's the disappointing thing. As you said, 1 point against Brentford. In hindsight, looking back now, you think, oh yeah, because of the results that Brentford have had, because of the form that they've been on, it's actually not a bad result.
And being away from home as well.
And when you said that, Mike, I was like, ugh. But then I look back and think, yeah. But what compounded it was the fact that Brighton. I go back to the Brighton game for me. We had an opportunity playing first to put the real pressure on them, and not to have any shots on target. It was the real blow, and that was when I was kind of like, hold on a minute, right? Let's see. I'll let you go. And then went into Brentford, and then again, it's a tough game, but no shots on target, no fight. So I don't know what to expect from them the next game. Not knowing is what I'm kind of concerned with, because you want to be able to at least say, right, well, I've seen that pattern of play. I've seen them make that effort. It was unlucky. None of that applies to the last two games. So, Mike, what's your thoughts? Is it a blip, or are we seeing the the pressure ramping up on these guys?
I agree with what both of you are saying. It's like part of me wants to say this is a blip, because if you go back to previous games where we've been losing under Conte, it's normally been like 1 or 2 games, and then we come back with getting a good result, which what we've needed. However, we should have won against Brighton. On paper, if we go on paper, we should have beat Brighton. We should have beat Brentford. However, Brighton was one of those games whereby they got a goal which was just lucky, and typically it was right at the death of the game, and we end up walking away with 0 points. The Brentford game. I feel Brentford they're in a form at the moment which can't be too much of a coincidence when a certain player has come back and seems to be playing well for him at the moment, and he is typically as an ex-Spurs player. I would like to say this is a blip. However, my concern is, and I think Brian mentioned it, it's Leicester and Liverpool next, and. And if you're in a blip, you'd want to be sort of facing teams in the next couple of games that, on paper, we should feel pretty comfortable and confident against. With Leicester, you never know what team, especially this season, you don't know what team you're coming up against. The only sort of blessing for us is that it's at home, and I am confident that we will get the right result against them. Liverpool away. I'm not confident. Our form at Liverpool, our form at Anfield isn't the greatest. However,
they've got a Champions League game. I think they've got a Champions League game on the Wednesday or the Tuesday, and then we play them on the Saturday, if I'm right in thinking. Because this week, obviously, Leicester, and then obviously the week up. So again,
it's at Anfield.
I know, and this is what I'm saying. Our Anfield record is diabolical. It's absolutely diabolical.
But on the flip side of that, would you bet against Conte not to get a result after the last 2 games? Like, you're in a catch-21 situation. If you say no, Spurs won't get anything. They will probably surprise us and pick up points. But then, if we're it's always that way. If we're overconfident as Spurs fans, they just let us down, and we're like, why do we feel confident? They've just done what we were hoping they wouldn't do. But if we were going with our heads, we would probably think, actually, we're not surprised. But we all, as Spurs fans, and as with any football fan, you go with your heart, don't you? And your heart rules your head most of the time. But I did say Brighton wasn't going to be an easy game.
Yeah, I know you were saying that, and that's what I was just going to add to. You said that Brighton, and again, if you look back at it, we don't know how valuable this point would be. It's only going to be at the end of the season. But then when you look at it like that, then we're going to say, well, the 3 points we missed against Brighton, the 3 points we missed against Wolves, the 3 points we missed against Southampton, the 3 points we missed against Crystal Palace, and you go on and on and on, and you're suddenly looking at 12 games lost or whatever it is that we've lost now, and you think to yourself, you pick up 4 or 5 points, not even wins, just 4 or 5 points, and that all goes away. I know Arsenal could do exactly the same thing. I know Man United could do all the same thing, but I'm just looking at us. We've got to take care of ourselves. Arsenal have done that, and I always kind of come back to that, is because their injuries aren't good as well. They're missing key players. but they're finding a way. They played shite against Man United. Look back at that game as well. That was a rubbish game. Ronaldo should have beaten them. I don't know how they won, but they did. And this is the point. But if we'd have done the same against Brentford, we'd have said, oh, did we deserve to win it? Doesn't really matter because we got the 3 points.
You could argue that with the Man United game. I mean, Man United didn't beat us. It was Ronaldo. We let 3 sloppy goals in, all because no one. Imagine just leaving Ronaldo to run at your goal unmarked, not being picked up, and the rest is history, isn't it?
Put it this way. This is when you talk about how typical it is for Spurs. We take 6 points off Man City and 0 off Man United.
Isn't that just, and that is just Spurs, isn't it? This is what I'm saying. This is what I go back to. We can't now look at, I was looking at the Leicester game probably 2 weeks ago saying, yeah, great, Leicester, you know what I mean? They're probably going to be thinking of the Europa, and they still will be thinking of the Europa because don't forget they're playing on Thursday. So they've got a massive game that they are wanting to win because they could win that competition. We've seen in past, it's always the same. It's usually tougher when you come back to play on a Sunday. We've experienced it ourselves. So I expect Leicester, if they're really focused and they get a good result against whoever they're playing against,
Roma. We're relying on
Jose. You know what I mean? And what's going to happen there?
It gets bloody worse.
That's what I'm saying. Who knows what's now going to happen? Is Jose going to say, well, I'll let them? No, Jose's going to want to win. But Leicester are going to want to win that trophy as well. So come Sunday, this is a really good opportunity for us to get 3 points, regardless if they were playing Europa or not. And now we're going to see what we're going to do. So this is, for me, forget the Liverpool game. As Sid has said, one game at a time. Brian, is it a mentality
I'll give you a stat about this, though, Mike. I'll give you a stat about this. And just another thing, Mike, to add to this catalogue of coincidences. Leicester could win a tournament that we were in that they weren't even in at the beginning of they weren't even in at the beginning of the season. They got relegated to. So but another stat to just wrap this little section up. One of my friends who I'm doing actually a Leicester preview with tomorrow is a Leicester fan. Actually gave me the stat, and I think it's 4 or 5 years old, that whenever we've played Leicester, if someone has won the first fixture, i.e. like we did with Bergwijn and the 2 goals, the other team has won the other one. So, and that's happened for the last 4 or 5 years. There's another stat to bring on to this. Let's just hope we smash that stat to oblivion.
Harry Kane.
The thing is,
I was just going to say, Harry Kane loves scoring against Leicester. And he hasn't scored for 4 games now. We can say he's due a goal. He's due a goal. We know he's due a goal. There is no better opportunity now than Sunday for these guys to step up, regardless of what formations we see, regardless of the team selection. We're all probably going to have different views about who should be starting, who shouldn't be starting, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is, the bottom line for this team is they have to show that they want this more than Leicester. And Leicester have got no reason to come to Spurs and think, yeah, we still got an outside chance of top 6. They should be focusing everything on the Europa League, as I would do as a manager if I was in that position. So realistically, if they come to White Hart Lane, as we like to call it, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, for those who are not thinking, oh, White Hart Lane's gone. No, they shouldn't be beating us, not even drawing us. So I don't know. Right?
So Harry Kane, you're right, he does have this knack, and Leicester is by far his. And these people have it in. Shearer had it with Newcastle. Drogba had it with the Filth. So it doesn't matter what form they're in. They play this team and they just happen to score. He needs a goal big time. Sorry. And you know what? Before the Brentford game, the commentary team over here said, you know what? Harry Kane has played 31 Premiership teams and scored against 30. The one he hasn't is Brentford. So I was like, okay, he's scoring against Brentford. But he didn't. But yeah, Leicester is a different kettle of fish to him. Obviously, he had a bad loan spell there. We need a goal from him. We need a goal from him. Yeah. I just hope Leicester don't go, oh, Brentford, Brighton, they play 3 in midfield and Spurs do nothing. Let's do 3 in midfield because it's stopping Harry Kane coming back. He's not getting the freedom. He can't be as effective and we haven't got any creativity. So let's hope Leicester play with a 2. And let's face it, Leicester aren't one of those that match up the other. They have their own brand of football that Brendan Rodgers is very, very structured with. He doesn't bend to the other team, so to speak. He will play his football, which hopefully will play into our hands. Harry Kane has to get a goal. Kane has to get a goal. Dave.
I'm just reading Dave Tutty's comment. I'm just reading Dave Tutty's comment. I'm going to read it out because it's funny. But I'm going to try and be a little bit less expletive. Kulusevski is now Kulu Ugly, and Bentancur is now Bent, whatever we're going to say that word.
Ben, to see you next Tuesday.
Dave, it's not quite as bad as that. We've had 2 bad games. I would say 2 bad results. Ben's I think maybe carrying a slight knock, so I'm going to give him a little bit. But I think as well as that, it's been compounded by the fact that the 2 games that I've seen us play with, not had any shots on target in the last 2 games, that both teams have had a way of playing against us, which doesn't bode well for Leicester, because Leicester, if you think about it, if they play on Thursday, they ain't going to really be on the front foot. They're going to be very much in a low block, blah, blah, blah. We don't play well against that. We don't play well against teams that press us high and that flood the numbers in midfield. So it's not looking good at the moment in terms of their way of playing, helping us. We've just got to be on the front foot, get that first goal. Is it down to the fact then, do you think these rumours, Mike, I'm going to come to you, do you think any of these rumours of PSG, Conte, Pochettino, do you think that's got anything to do with anything we're seeing from Conte in terms of his decision-making at the moment?
When I see the Daily Express, the Daily Mirror, the Star, I can't remember what other bollocks in terms of newspaper articles that I see these rumours come out with, I automatically just think it's nonsense. In my eyes, it's nonsense. Unless it comes out of their mouths specifically, i.e. Conte comes out and says, I want to go PSG, or there's a more reliable source, I just dismiss it straight away. I don't believe half the nonsense that's being said. And it always happens around this time of the year, whether it's this time of the year or just before the January transfer. You hear of all these sort of ludicrous transfer rumours. Like, I mean, does anyone actually believe that Conte's going to go to PSG and Pochettino is going to come back to Spurs? I just can't see that. I just can't see it happening myself. Call me, I don't know, whatever you want, but I just don't believe it. That's just right. That's it. That's as blunt as I can put it.
I'll ask Brian. Do you think these rumours, and two-part question here. Do you think the rumours have maybe unsettled the players, Conte, and secondly, do you think the rumours are true? Because as I said, I'm with Mike. You're going to get all these things now, and it's almost like to sell anything these days, you've got to be just throw anything out there, see if it sticks. And this feels like one of them ones. It's just trying to be thrown out to see if it sticks. What's your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I've got quite a bit to say on this. Funnily enough, you wouldn't have gathered it. But Mike, you'll be surprised at the avenue I'm going down with that rumor. You'll be so first of all, the players. The way I look at it is, we hear the players go, "Oh, I don't read the press. I don't read the papers. I don't read this." They may not, but what they do now is they listen to Sky Sports News 1,000,000,000%. You see it everywhere when they're in the training ground. It's on constantly. And the other thing they most certainly do watch, like a hawk, is social media. And they do. There's no getaway. Back in the day when we grew up and during Gazza's days, there was no social media. Everything was the paper. There was no Sky Sports News. So it's very good that you don't read the paper, because there's 58 other blooming ways to get the news. And there's no doubt that they know this rumour's about. They know this rumour's about. Now, I'm going to specifically talk about Harry Kane, because we were just speaking about his dip in form. Harry Kane in the summer, obviously wanted out, or his agent, whatever way you want to look at that. And then someone sat down to me, you go, because I went very hard on Harry Kane. I went because I love him so much, and he's been an absolute model pro and a role model for so long. And then when I went to the first few games, I was there the first time before Bob Spurs, the Chelsea day when Jimmy Greaves died. I thought, you know what a day to try and put on a performance. He was non-existent, and his body language was shocking. Aston Villa would be 1-2-1. He was non-existent. His body language was shocking. And the Man U game, when it was "We Want Levy Out," the greatest moment in my Spurs stadium. Again, he was shocking, and I was like, "This guy, he's." And then someone put me aside, not at the ground, and spoke to me, said, "You know what, Brian? Harry Kane's heartbroken." And I thought, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "You know what? He loves this club so much. He's given everything, time after time after time after time. He's delivered his end of the bargain, but that man hasn't." And then with the summer, it's like, and the Euros, wouldn't you be pissed off if you've given everything, but then you've been told gentleman's agreement. And as I said, a gentleman's agreement from Levy is like going for a prostate exam with Wolverine as your doctor. So his heart was broken. But where I'm going with that is right now, Harry Kane has been rough for the last 2 games. And it's been the whole team. So I'm not signaling out Harry Kane right now, but I'm saying, has Harry Kane been heartbroken again by hearing these rumours and thinking, oh, here we go again, just when I thought that we've got Conte and things were going. So I don't know. I'm not saying that's what it is, but if you want to start putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 6, 10, whatever, maybe even 4. So there's that. Now, when it comes to these rumours, do I think there's any weight behind it? Yes, I do, but not in the way that it's being said, because you look at it now, when players want something, like when Rooney wanted to leave at Man United, he put a few, or say he wanted to leave, he put a few feelers out, and then what do you know, like a 250 grand contract lands in his lap. It's what players do with their agents and whatever. When they want something, they're like, right, you're not going to give me what I want, let me just put a few things in the media. And I seriously think, this is my opinion, that it's Antonio Conte's people, because what I have heard, I've heard from good authority, Antonio Conte loves Tottenham Hotspur. He loves his connection with the fans. He loves the group of players. He really wants to commit. But the problem that they've been having right now, as we all know, is assurances of backing. And this is where I think the problem is, and it's Conte's people putting feelers out, because if you look at it, PSG want the European Champions League. That's all they want. Antonio Conte's kryptonite is European football. So for me, that doesn't make sense. Then I started looking at it with the Antonio Conte side. Do I think this argument is about amount of money? No, I don't. Because we all know Conte is not one of those managers that need 250 mil and spend 80s and 60s. He finds players that fit his model. He knows how the mentality. So do I think it's about the actual amount of money that Levy's giving him? No, I don't think it's that. Do I think it's about the number of players he wants? And apparently we've heard it rumoured everywhere, but the one that I'm hearing most is 6. So I'm like, is it about the amount of players? No, I don't think it is. Where I think this whole argument is age of player. Because as you know, we get one for the future, or we buy low so we can sell high. And I think we're constantly linked with people like De Vrij and everyone who are like in their late 20s, maybe even approaching 30. And that's been the problem. If Conte wants players, he wants them to come in right now. He's not one for the future because he doesn't stay for the future. So I think this whole argument...
On that, Brian, let me just add my little bit. That's why I think the 18-month contract that they give him really put the club in a position, because now, you know, they don't really... If I was the club and I've given the manager 18 months and now he's only got a year left, effectively, are you going to really want to buy all the players that he wants that might be overage, or certainly the ones that now, if you know he's not committed his future? And this is the problem they've got. If they do, and they do what he says, and they do what he wants, they get all the players in, we could be left in a situation where, we've got the players that Conte wants. There's no guarantee that we're going to get the success out of it. So there's no guarantee that he could say, you know what, it's still not working, I'm out. I know that's not likely to be the case, but that could be, unless he then commits himself long term. The other thing I was just going to say about the PSG thing is, you imagine he's come to Spurs to want to get players to play for him. And I was looking at the Big Six the other night and I was listening, and it made a lot of sense what they were saying. He's going to go to, if he was to go to PSG, he's going to be dealing with so much player power. Ramos, Messi, Neymar, Mbappe, all them players there.
Well, Mbappe's out the door already. Mbappe will be out on the free.
You know what I'm saying? They've got some real big hitters there that he's going to come in, want them to run through brick walls. They ain't going to really do that every single week, which is what a lot of these managers have found. So that PSG thing, I'm not sure about it personally.
Plus, yeah, I mean, PSG are all old boys, aren't they? They're all old boys. Like, what? I don't see... Most of the players that have gone to PSG are they're just looking for a big payday before they retire, or they're on that cusp of such. But I do think you could be onto something there, Brian, in terms of the player age. But this goes to the point of, well, if you bring in the players that are ready now, that Conte wants, who he thinks can bring that success, then we're always going to be in that situation of if we don't get the players in that Conte wants that are in the age bracket that Spurs don't particularly want to pay for. We're always going to be like, oh, what if we just got those 6 players that he wanted to bring in that were a little bit older, but it did bring us success. I don't think we're not in a position whereby we can think, let's not do it because we don't think we're going to be successful bringing these players in. It's too much of a risk and reward, isn't it? At the end of the day, I mean, these players that Conte's going to want to bring in, he's only going to bring in players that he thinks or his team think are going to be able to literally hit the ground running, like Kulu and Bentancur. To be fair to them, I think they've hit the ground running. They've slotted in very well.
Yep.
And it's almost like they've always been playing for Spurs under Conte. So if Levy should just trust him, just go with it. I mean, we haven't done this buying players for the now. We haven't done. So what have we got to lose?
Exactly. I mean, the thing about it, first of all, Stuart Austin, we're not giving it to Harry Kane at all. It was just a point of a play. Harry Kane, for me, at the moment, is the best player in the world, apart from the last 2 games in 2022. And for Marlon Joe, I'm not saying, mate, you're talking to me here. Me going on a Levy tangent is like waking up in the morning. But I'm not. I'm actually backing Levy to give him the money, which I never do. I'm actually backing Levy to give him the quantity of players he's doing. Where I'm doubting it, because we go for the thing I hate with buying people like Brian Hill and Matty Sarr, and we say, oh, they're one for the future. Okay, if they're one for the future, it may be one for the future with the current manager. One of the problems we have is we're getting rid of managers so quickly. Every single time it's a different formation or a different philosophy. Yeah. So we have players surplus to requirements. So he has to get them out and bring them in. And then the next manager comes in and it's a different style. So he has to get them out and them in. So this how do we know Matty Sarr one for the future? We don't know in the future what brand of football we're playing. Whereas with Conte, if he wants a De Vrij at 29, don't go and get one for the future. Don't go and get a cheap option. Go get him De Vrij. Forget the sell-on value. Winning the Premier League, winning a cup is your money back.
But this is where I think the big gamble is, because if you think about it, when Jose Mourinho was at Manchester United, he kind of had that effect there. He, to a degree, had that effect at Spurs. He brought in Fellaini. You look at the likes of, I think it was Juan Mata, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. All them players that were brought in for now, it F's up because Jose is going to F up. And Conte has a similar type of history. So I can see from a club perspective, from a devil's advocate point of view, you do that and you pander to him with no guarantee. Obviously, you're reducing your risk if you get older players, but you're definitely not guaranteed what you're going to do. I'm saying you're lessening it, but so it's a risk, isn't it? It's going to be a risk.
But you look at Mourinho, he still brought success to Man United with those players. He got them 2 cups. 2 cups. I mean, those 2 cups. I mean, the fact is 2 cups. I mean, that'd be amazing for Spurs. But one was a European Cup, one was a domestic cup. I think us Spurs fans, if Conte delivered that with those players that he's brought in, me personally, if he left after the year that if we were to be successful like that, and he got us a double, for example, I would. Do you know what I would be like? If Conte left after that season and we're stuck with those players, I'd be like, I'll deal with it. I'm coping. He's delivered what he set out to do, which we as fans have been starved of for God knows how long.
I think it depends on what he wins.
I'd put up with it.
If he wins the League Cup, for me, it's success. For Conte, I don't think that would be success that he would qualify as being what he would like. I think he is looking at least a challenge for the league. But if he could win, the FA Cup, let's say, and maybe do very well in the league, but then couple that with, I don't know, a Europa League, Champions League, good run if we win the Champions League, or if we drop down. If we won the Europa League, for me, that's an ultimate goal because A, does 2 things. It gets you the trophy, but it also guarantees you the Champions League exposure that all these players want. And so, therefore, what I want to see is, because I don't think we're not going to win a league next season, regardless of who we bring in. That we might have a challenge. We ain't winning the league because 2 teams are too far ahead of us for us to bridge that gap. We've seen Man United can finish second and now look where they are. We're in that battle for those teams below. I think even Chelsea will probably come back into our little sphere of teams because of what their situation are going through. Yep. But there's no guarantee that even if we bring in everybody that Conte wants, if he doesn't say, I'm going to be here for the long term, guys, or is he going to be gone next year?
But do you not think it might be a case that if what Brian was saying is true, i.e. he loves the club, he loves the fans, the rapport that he's building with us, etc., etc. If he sees progression, i.e., okay, this season, well, we effed up on a couple of things, but we've got fourth. Next season, we get a domestic cup, but he sees progression. It might, just break the mold of, you know what, I'll stay another year because I think I'm onto something here. And then it might be like 2 years down the line, you could be challenging for a European Cup, or it could be challenging for the. I know it's like you said, Sam. Like the league's probably a little bit far fetched because of how far Man City and Liverpool are ahead of us. But in a couple of years' time, maybe not next season, but the season after, your Peps and your Klopps might not even be at Liverpool. So I don't know. You just don't know. It might be that he might break that mold and just see it out. He might see it as a little mini project, be like, you know what, I'll just stick it out for a couple more seasons and see where we go. As long as he keeps getting those assurances, that's what I think is key. Assurances, i.e. assurances that I can continue to build and make the team better than what it is. Assurances that if I need to spend a bit of money, it's there, and he's got the backing. But if he doesn't get that, then I think, you know what it is.
Like you said, what I saw with Conte when we signed him is I thought it was too far in advance to try and get from where we were to mount the Champions League top four quest. But let's face it, none of us knew how no one would have wanted fourth by the looks of it this season. So I thought top four might be a bridge too far. A push for it and a domestic cup, because we were still in the both cups. We were still in the Conference League technically when he came. His first game was in the Conference League. So I thought a cup. Then I thought this upcoming season, top four if he's there, guaranteed. And then if he extends his contract, that will be the year where we'll not win, but we'll have a serious title push. So that was kind of my timeline for Conte. And if we're in the top four push, obviously we can't win a cup. But if he gets top four, that is, take it or not, whether it's a trophy or not, which we know it's not, that is successful Tottenham.
So I don't want to be a dampener.
Especially after the season we've had, where, like you just said, Brad, we had Nuno. I was thinking, if we're lucky with eighth,
forgot about that.
We'd be lucky with Nuno getting eighth. I mean, I wasn't even thinking of anything like European football, just winning a game, just winning a London derby. I was like, that's probably a bridge too far under Nuno at the moment. We're getting smashed left, right, and centre as such, but
Nuno was the wrong appointment. We know that. I think that's clear to see. The stopgap, I think they probably went for Conte in the summer, didn't get him, blah, blah. Anyway, all that history. My problem, though, with the saying about Conte saying, oh, yeah, I can, if I get this next season on the bill, he doesn't necessarily stay anywhere longer than 3.5 years. And in his recent history, it's probably been about 2 to 3 years. But coupled with that, he's been winning stuff in that time with the teams. He hasn't won nothing for us. So for him to then turn around and say, well, I've not won nothing, we're going to have to go through so many ups and downs emotionally with him. I don't know whether some of these players can cope. That's why the mentality side of the players that are brought in need to be Conte players. I agree with all of that. However, if he's not winning, we've already seen what happens if he loses certain games because the players. Imagine that he's going into. I don't think his attitude is going to be, well, you know what, we're building. We were fifth last year or fourth, and now we're 5 points better off. He's got to win. He's a serial winner.
But
he has to win. This building stuff, he's not a builder. He's not a builder that's going to build.
Yeah, but then he shouldn't have been appointed. If this is thing like Jose, I mean, you go back to Jose, someone that he's wanted for 20 years, and he's seen very, very close quarters in England and obviously seen in Italy, and he does the same thing at every club. Spends hundreds of millions, wins trophies, turns everything toxic, goes. And he came to Tottenham, wasn't backed, but wasn't backed to the extent that he is at other clubs. Got to a final, got sacked.
You couldn't make it up.
It's like, but you wanted this guy for 20 years. It was like everyone knew he was on the decline. If you look at the journeys where we hired Conte and where we hired Mourinho was at the top on the way down, and Conte is right there sitting at the top of the mountain. And you can't get someone that's that top of the mountain and not say, right, you're there. I want you to take our club like there. And the worst thing is if, and like I said, I don't think he is going. If he does go, any manager we employ is a step down. You can't get higher than where we are.
I agree.
And that'd be Kane gone as well. I don't
think it will. I think
do you reckon?
No, the only reason I say that right now is he is so close to Jeeves. I've made up a new striker. Greaves' record.
Jeeves.
So I really think, especially if he bangs in a few. I think someone said he's either 23 or 24 away.
Mm.
Do you know what? Like Steven Gerrard said when he could have gone to Chelsea, winning a trophy at Liverpool was worth 10 of winning elsewhere, and to go down as Tottenham Hotspur's greatest ever goal scorer. I just think that's and if I was in the position now I was Spurs chairman, I would literally say to Kane, listen, I'll let you go for free in 2 years. I want you to be here for 2 years.
I think personally, unless Harry Kane does what he did last season, or the beginning of this season, should I say, he's not going anywhere regardless. I don't think so, because at this moment in time, I can't see him going to City because Harden look like he's going there. So there's a choice: Manchester United or Chelsea. He's not going to anybody below us in terms of Arsenal, West Ham, blah, blah. He's not going to go to Chelsea. Daniel Levy wouldn't allow that. Daniel Levy wouldn't allow that anyway.
Well, Chelsea is sanctioned as well, aren't they? So that's out of the question.
So that's out of the question as well because of the sanctions. And Man United, I don't see him selling to Man United because of the issue that they've had between certain players. It was always, Spurs are a feeder club for Man U. I don't see that happening either. But Harry Kane, maybe he's got this fillet of beating Jimmy Goo's record, but we've seen that, players, that might not be enough for him. And if Conte were to leave, let's say, I'm not quite sure that would be enough because he's already said if Conte is the man, he's going to stay. If that happens in the summer, let's say we had a debacle in the summer, I just think it would be a real problem for Harry Kane to really put his performances in next season.
Well, it'd be a real problem for the board because you've had the best manager in the world football, and you've not given the assurances that he wants, that he's going to be able to improve the squad. So, in theory, if you're not going to back Conte, then what's the point in entering the Football League next season? You might just be like, you know what, we're just done. You can't back the best manager in football right now. Then what's the point? There is no point, literally.
Well, we all looked at this and we've all said that if I said definitely if Conte's been brought in, forget about this season because I didn't expect us to be top 4. I thought if we were top 6 and we had a domestic, even the League Cup, that would have been a brilliant. I'm still going to say that would have been a brilliant season because I look at all the other teams. We're not really going to fall outside that top 8, no matter what we do. We could have a really pants. We can see Arsenal lost the first 3 games. Look where they are now. Do you know what I mean? We're never going to be outside that top 8. We're probably going to be never outside that top 6 or 7. I know we finished 7th and Arsenal finished 8th, but forget that. But top 8 is definitely. So we have to win something. And now that we've got Conte, you have to back the man. If you brought him in for a reason because you want your club to be successful, he's going to say, well, the way I've been successful is X, Y, and Z. And here you go, Mr. Levy. Can I have X, Y, and Z? And if he then says, well, I'm not sure about that, then obviously the manager, that's why I've signed the 18-month contract, he can then go. So it's really key this summer what happens as opposed to what happens, I think, for the rest of this season. I think it's important that we get top 4, but if we don't, it's what happens in the summer more so. If we don't get backed in the summer, we've got real problems.
It has to back him. There's no if you want Conte to stay, just back him. Like we haven't backed a manager since. Well, I can't remember actually the last time we've backed a manager, to be fair. I was going to say Pochettino, but we didn't really back him. But it goes without saying, isn't it? You've got the best manager in the world. It's obvious that we need to clear out. There's about, I could probably say 6 or 7 players who I would be like, you know what, goodbye. We need to improve on these players if we're gonna reach the levels that we all want as Spurs fans. And I mean, we could probably all rattle off the names between us. It's not rocket science, but he's just got to trust. He's just got to trust Conte. He's got to trust Paratici, and let them control the funds, the players that need to come in. Forget Levy, forget negotiating, mate, because you've had your time. You've not done what's been required, and stick to what you're good at: building a football club outside of outside of the football pitch as such, and concentrate on that, and let the experts on or within the football world concentrate on the football matters as such. But
Mike, to hear these words come out of your mouth are like music to my goddamn ears. It's like, yes, I finally. But you know what? Like, go on, you finish.
No, go on. No,
I was about to say, what you got to look at this as well with Conte, and you touched on it a bit, is when we say back him in the summer, there's backing him in the summer, but what we got to do is got to make sure that this time, first of all, signings start happening straight away. And I don't mean the second the window opens, but I mean before pre-season training, and it's not dragging out all this nonsense right to the end, because he's like Poch. He has such a strict pre-season that the players need to be up to par when it comes in. So he needs these players in quickly, especially with the World Cup. God knows how the transfer window is going to be, or when the winter window works out. And you got to remember, there could be a player right now that we're looking at that could be an international, but not established or whatever, like one of the main men. He goes and has a great World Cup. That value doubles, trebles, whatever. But the other thing, and the most important thing about this backing, is we have Ndombele, Lo Celso, or maybe not Lo Celso, it looks like. But if Ndombele comes back, Antonio Conte has to decide the valuation of the players we sell. Not, I want 30 million for Winks and he can go. If Conte says, right, a bid's coming for 20 million, I need this 20 million so I can do this, this, and this. Don't be an idiot and try and hold out for an extra 10. You don't want to invest money. So if Conte says sell now for 20 million, I want this 20 million to go do this, this, and this. For me, that's the bigger part of backing him. Making sure he or PRTv has the power to say yes on the valuations of players out.
So going to the PRTv point that you just made right now, this is what I think, and I'm going to have a little bit of a on the Daniel Levy side. I think he has spent money. I think we have got players. The problem that we've had is we've got players that are the players that he's maybe wanted, and we haven't had a real degree of the right network of scouts to get the right players in. We haven't had a director of football, so we've made decisions based on what we think the club wants as opposed to the manager. So you've saying, well, here you go, Jose, you can have that. Here you go, Nuno, you can have that. And we've seen it doesn't work, because if you don't want a player and you're given a player, you'll kind of say, well, I told you so. And we've seen that from both Jose and Nuno. Conte's probably done the same thing. Well, I can't do much with this. You're going to have to get me some players in January. They got two players that he probably wanted, and we've seen the effects of that. So provided that continues in the future, I'm happy with that. But the fact that he hasn't signed this long-term deal is maybe why Daniel might say, okay, let's say he says, I want to go out and spend, I don't know, the player that we've been looking at, De Vrij, for instance, as you've mentioned, and he's going to cost 40, 50, 60. I don't know what he's going to cost. And then Daniel says, I might sanction that, but if he's a total Conte player and then he leaves and I've got this, we've seen circumstances where that I know it's something that we shouldn't be looking at, but these are the things that a business has to take care of as well. We like to say, spend, but look what spend has possibly done to us. We've left with players that don't match anything, and the clear out that we have to go through is taken 4 or 5 windows. That's the problem I think we've got to have the future if we do this.
But I don't think the players that PRTv and Conte would bring in would be dead wood. I don't think either of them would bring in an Emerson. Well, I say Emerson was brought in for Nuno, wasn't it, as a fullback? But I don't think Conte would pick someone like Doherty. You're not going to get those type of players. These players that he's going to bring in will be of a higher caliber. Which, if they're of a higher caliber, you'd like to think that they'd be able to adapt to more than just one formation.
My only problem with that is, and I'll give you 2 examples, 2 players that if you looked at it before the start of the season, you'd feel, fucking, that's a game changer. Romelu Lukaku at Chelsea, Jack Grealish at Manchester City, both of which ain't pulled up trees, spent 100 million. You know what I'm saying? So this is the point. You can do what all these things are saying. We can get this 50 million player. We can get that 60 million player. It don't guarantee it. And we were spending that sort of money, 100 million. It's not anywhere that you can sell Lukaku to. You're not just going to offload Jack Grealish to anybody. The players are on certain amounts of money, 200 grand plus. It's very difficult, as we've seen with Ndombele.
I think next season you see a brand new Jack Grealish. Listen, just because he's gone for 100 million, you look at people like Bergkamp when they went to Arsenal. I know they're foreign, but there's certain players that come in first season. Obviously, there's the big price tag that is on his head regardless. And then there's also going to a brand new team. And let's face it, as much as he loved Villa, going from Villa to Man City is another light. And learning from Pep. So I think over the time of that contract, Jack Grealish will turn out to be or we say value for money. How can you put value for it? But you know what I mean. He will turn out to be a good player. Lukaku, you're completely right. He's come out and he went to the media, shut his mouth off. That's backfired big time. But I think people writing Jack Grealish off, which they're right to this season. I think this time next season, people will be going, there's the Jack Grealish we knew. There's the Jack Grealish. Because I hate people have been saying Spurs had a lucky escape not buying Jack Grealish for whatever the amount was. I was like, have a word.
I'll take him all day, every day, even now.
Have a word. We could have had him cheap. There's rumours that it was like 6 or under 10 million. There's other rumours it was 15 or 25. Every day of the week, I would have taken Jack Grealish for that amount. Every single day of the week. And he may have turned into something, but he had the potential there. And it was definitely, if you look at it right now, something we are blatantly missing.
Would you have spent 100? If we had 100 million, Jack Grealish was a top target, and we spent 100 million on Jack Grealish, had the season he had at Manchester City, they had it for us now, we would all be doing our nutting. We would be. Let's not get it to. I would be doing my nutting.
You're right. You're right. But
because for us, it's a different matter. Manchester City is a different kettle of fish. They can afford to buy a £100 million player and put him on the bench, and because they're still going to probably win the league or the Champions League. Yeah. We buy a £100 million player and finish in the top 4 and don't win any trophies. That ain't going to cut it with anybody. Nobody in the club is going to say, well, that was a good signing, wasn't it? No.
But under at Spurs, he'd be getting games week in, week out, and that form that he's lacking at Man City because he's just getting inconsistent games wouldn't be the case at Spurs. He'd have more game time, which you'd like to think would give him more chance of being consistent in his performances. I think he'd have been a success at Spurs. I still would now.
I agree, but not 100 million. They wouldn't have paid 100 million for him to be.
But if you look at the market now, we don't have to spend 100 million. We don't have to spend 200 million on players. Like, if you look at the market insofar as how many players are actually either going to be a freebie in the summer or on their last sort of 12 to 18 months left on their contract, there's some top players out there which we could pick up some right bargains, which would fall into Levy's sort of, oh, actually, I like a good bargain. I'll grant that transfer because I can see a sell-on value if it all goes Pete-on. Whereas if Conte wants that player, if you go on the basis of how Kulu and Bentancur and Romero, to be fair, have all fitted into that Conte system, I just feel
they're all young players. Don't forget that. Bentancur being the oldest at 24, Kulu's 21. Romero,
but they're talking about
23.
There's talk about Bale having signed a pre-contract with Spurs. If Conte wants him, I'm all for it. If Conte wants Bale in, I can only assume that he might see Bale as potentially as someone that would fit in as a second striker to Kane, or maybe either flank, because he can play on the left, he can play on the right, he could play anywhere in the front three, really. So if it might be that Conte's just wanting experience as well as youngsters, which I think to be successful you need a blend of both. But and I'm not saying Bale's going to come in and play week in, week out. He wouldn't do. But I think we just got to, if Conte wants a player, we just got to be like, cool, you're the expert. We'll see how it goes.
We got, and I'll come back to you in a minute, Brian. Yeah, I agree. There's going to be a lot of players in there in the summertime that are going to be available on free transfers. The problem with that is because they're on free transfers, they're going to have a pick of a few teams to go to if they want to. The other problem with that is they can start to command salaries a little bit more. Oh, they can play one. All right, I'm a free agent. Or he's offered me 150 grand. What do you want me to come to your? Oh, I'll offer you 175. Hold on a minute before I make a decision. Now he's offering. Do you know what I'm saying? So you could play that sort of game. So you end up paying wages as opposed to the transfer fee. Now, again, when you do that, you have to be sure. £200,000 we were paying to Tanguy Ndombele. I would love that guy. I thought he was the most talented, but we've seen didn't work. I know I'm going back to the point about not working, but you're labelled, you're left with a player that you're going to have to do something with. The managers have fucked off that have got him, and we've got a 200 grand player who's still out on loan that we might have to bring back to our club that isn't going to play any more football for us.
But that's only because his style of play it's obvious, it doesn't suit what Conte wants or demands from his players. So the players that Conte is going to bring in he's only going to bring in players that are going to suit his style, who will understand his philosophy and be able to sort of hit that ground running, which, as I say, you look at a few of the signings we've already got, they are hitting the ground running. Okay, you could argue Brighton and Brentford, they weren't up to scratch, so to speak. But if you go on the balance of whole since they've come in, they have hit the ground running. But I just think if Conte wants someone, just let him crack on and get those players in.
So I'll ask both of you, and I'll ask Brian first then. How much of the last couple of games do you place on the players, and how much do you place on Conte in terms of, I hate to use the word blame because it's a game at the end of the day and teams can win, lose or draw. But seeing what they've done in terms of how they've played, I think there's an equal amount of blame on both sides. The players have got to turn up, but also the manager's got to make certain decisions that will assist them players to make the best decision and to get the best out of them. What's your thoughts in terms of where the blame might lay, if it's more or less with manager or players?
So the first one, just to touch on that, what we were just talking about before. What I think as well, when you were saying about the money on free contracts, this is where Antonio Conte's name is worth its weight in gold. Because you can go to someone and they say, we'll give you 150 grand a week, so to speak, and they might not be challenging for Europe, or they might be challenging for a top 6 or whatever, and we could come in at 120 or whatever. It's like, right, I'm playing for Antonio Conte. I should be getting Champions League football the year after if I'm not already in it. I'm going to be with one of the elites. So that's where Conte's name is a great weight in this transfer window that we got. But on this one, very hard for me to differentiate, because you look at it, one of the players that I think deserves game time, and I can't believe he's like the third sub with 5 minutes, is Bergwijn. Whether you like him or not,
unbelievable.
I'm a big fan of his. I was there at Leicester when he did what he did. He's been doing bits on international duty, and what I don't get about this situation is Conte's bigging him up with words, saying, he's doing well, I'm really impressed with him. But his actions are speaking louder than his words, and only giving him 5 minutes. It's like, wait a minute, you're saying one thing, but then you're kind of doing another, which doesn't really resonate with what you're saying.
Yeah.
And then you look at it, the way I look at it with tactics is, I've been saying from a few months ago that I understand why he's playing 4-3-3, but I don't think the players we have the footballing brain to play it constantly because of the standard of quality. And then you look at it, Doherty gets injured, Tanganga gets injured. We play a guy at right wing back who has a shepherd's pie on his head. When that's what I've been calling him. But you know what? As bad as he is, this goes to show about the mismanagement. He was bought as a right back. He was not bought as a right wing back. He was bought as a right back, but we have no option. And the only other option is play Bergwijn, Kulu or Mora. Kulu can play there apparently. And the other two we spoke, Bergwijn and Mora, kind of makeshift. So how do you know if that's going to work? I mean, can you imagine how bad things are if we try Bergwijn or Mora and it doesn't work out and we have to bring on Emerson to clean that up? It's like, Jesus Christ. Then you look at Reguilon. then you look at Reguilon, who again, another problem, was bought by Mourinho as a left back.
Yeah.
Where are we trying to play him? Left wing back. Just because you play left doesn't mean you can be that position. Then you look at the midfield. Did you think Ollie Skip was going to get injured? No. And then when you have to bring Harry Winks on, I'd rather he bring Harvey White on with 15 minutes to go because if you were at the Fulham game, if you were at the Brighton game, whatever, and if we could have had a microphone around all the pubs or homes in the world where people were watching Spurs, when Harry Winks came on, the whole crowd would have gone, or but if you think Harvey White, you would have been like, all right, let's see what this kid's got, and we would have the atmosphere would have. So I blame Conte because I don't understand, especially at Brentford when he knew Arsenal had won, why he kept two defensive midfielders on. They were both null and void in that game, in my opinion. They're both nowhere. Bentancur's picking up a knock, so I understand that, but that's how bad things are at the moment. We have to play with a knock. So with that, I would have said, you know what? We need to win. We need to score a goal. I'd rather put an extra player on and go for it and go for the win. That's what winners do. That's what champions or people that go through it, that's what they do. So I blame Conte for that, like the substitution and not trying to change it. But the players, just like I said, and this isn't Well, it is a stab at Levy, but it's not. It's not.
Always get them in.
It's not one of my knives out. I'm going to come for you big time. It's just a blatant fact.
Yeah.
We do not have the players to play in the formation that he wants. We do not have the strength in depth.
Yeah.
And Conte may be good, but if I said to you, right, put a triangle in a square hole or a square hole in a triangle, you can't do it. You can't do it. You get
a tool and you chop the edges off. This is what I'm saying. So what I'm trying to allude to is Conte doing enough? Even if the formation that he's choosing, he's gonna keep on playing it. We know the 3-4-3,
yeah.
But we've seen it at times. Teams can nullify it. Some teams can, and he can persist on doing that. Like I said, if he persists on that this weekend, something's wrong in my opinion.
Yeah.
If he starts the same team, Leicester do exactly what Brighton have done, or exactly what Brentford have done, and they nullify us to the point where the crowd's not happy, we've got a problem. Because in theory, he's not going to change it, because we've seen he hasn't changed it in the past. So what do we expect the players to then just take responsibility? I think the players need to take more responsibility, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
but I also believe that some of the players like Bergwijn, as you mentioned, Brian, if he's been talked up so much by Conte saying, "Oh, you're Harry Kane's," I see we've not seen any play with your technical of your kind of like your performance, your output, your characteristics. That's the word you use. We've got nobody with your characteristics, but then you don't bring him on when you need goals, and he's already proven that he's scored goals for us in difficult situations. I can't get my head around that. That's what I can't get my head around.
Especially if we're chasing the game or needing a goal. Like, take off one of either Højbjerg or Bentancur, drop Kane a little bit deeper, and put Bergwijn in that true number 9 role, and let him play off the last defender for Kane to find him, which he did, like against Leicester, that last goal against Leicester, where Kane found him, slotted him through 1-on-1, rounded the keeper and put the ball in the back of the net. I don't know why he wouldn't try that, but it can only be that either he doesn't feel he's got the players for a plan B, i.e. he doesn't trust them. That has to be what it is, because why would you not? I mean, we haven't got a plan B. It's quite obvious to see, isn't it? Like, against Brighton and you just use Brighton and Brentford as the prime examples. He's not changed it in any way, shape, or form until it's really too late. And even again, like, you could argue that against Leicester, technically he probably brought Bergwijn on a little bit too late. We were fortunate that we were able to turn that game around and get the 3 points, but Bergwijn's pace is an asset for us. I mean, he's rapid, so why not? If we're chasing the game, we need goals, like what Brian and like you said, Sam. Put him on as the last man.
You've got to try something.
Try something different.
Mike, what hurt my head, and I think it hurt your head as well, when I saw Sanchez come on.
Don't mention the name.
I couldn't understand.
What? I actually understood. Do you know what? It's really sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off there, Sam.
No, it's fine.
You know what? I was watching We Are Tottenham TV watch along because my brother, Mr. Danny Kiriakou, was there. So I was watching that, and then when that substitution happened, I was like, "Why the hell, when we need to win the game, has he done that?" And then someone, and I keep saying to this person, because I can't remember who it was, but I was like, if ever you hear me talking about it and you hear it, please reveal yourself on. I was like, you know what? I think he did that because Brentford were dominating at that point, and for set pieces, he wanted extra power, extra strength, because that's what Sanchez can do. And then also, if you look at it, I was like, you know what? That makes sense, because Brentford at set pieces and our set pieces made sense. And also, if you look at it, when he came on, Ben Davies was actually advancing a hell of a lot more. Yeah. And we actually had a final. We actually did better when he came on. I still think it was the wrong substitution. We should have gone attacking. But from going from that substitution where I was like, that is the most bizarre sub I've ever seen, I was like, no, do you know what? I understand that he's looked at the set pieces and being our Achilles heel. Didn't foresee the Ben Davies bit going forward more and us having more possession. But I can see now when you take out yourself out of it and think, right, we've got to win. Like Conte's been saying, if you're not going to win, don't lose. And that's why I think Sanchez came on.
And that's true. Yeah, that's true. I completely. However, what I will say to that is, if it was last week's game against Brighton, that would have made more sense that we don't lose that game because you got more. Yeah. When the games are running out, if we got no points or 1 point, it really at this stage of the season, it's only at the end of the season we're gonna know. But when we look at it, 1 point or 0 points wasn't going to be a big difference because Arsenal had won. So in theory, we should have been looking to win the game. Yeah. Making that substitution with Sanchez, I understand about the set pieces, but then you've taken off a player on the left-hand side who wasn't playing that badly. Certainly wasn't as bad as Emerson, but wasn't that great. To put in Ben Davies to go forward, do you think I couldn't see us getting a goal from that? I could see us not conceding, but I couldn't see us scoring. The problem being is you could have brought on the attacking player and still brought on Sanchez. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Didn't do any of that. We could have brought Davis off, and we could have put somebody else on the left, and we could have had what's his name as the left side, and it could be really attacking. These are the things I want to see. I don't want to see a safety or we're not going to lose this game. Not when you need to win. Do something different. 2-4-4. What Liverpool did when they had to beat Everton, they played 2-4-4. That's what they did.
The only thing with Davis is his distribution is, I would say, is probably better than Reguilon's and Session's, which might have been another reason why he's put Davis out on as a left wing back, because his distribution into the box, I would say, is probably of a it's of a higher standard than, as I say, than you get from Reguilon and Session, which is why I think he's probably put him out on the far left. Which, to be fair to Davis, this season he has been solid. He surprised me. Let's put it that way. He surprised me this season, and he's been one of our better players consistently over the course of the season.
Don't get me wrong. I think he might have done that because he really has faith in Ben Davies, and he's thinking, I'm not going to take you off.
He can rely on him. That's what it is.
He's reliable. So these mind games that sometimes managers we don't understand, and I'm looking at it from a perspective of the outside looking in, whereas he's on the inside, so he knows these players. He knows by making this substitution what it might do to this player or what it might do to this other player. So I can't say, well, that was the wrong substitution, but only from my perspective, when we need to win a game, it didn't make sense. If he had come out and said, well, you know what? We had to probably make sure we didn't, concede from a set piece. I thought Ben Davies was playing really well, blah, blah, blah. Then I could say, well, I've heard that, but I didn't hear any of that. I never heard any of it.
I think Conte keeps his cards close to his chest to a certain degree in respect of his decisions making, doesn't he? He won't. I have not seen him sort of back his rationale up as to why he's made the decision if we haven't got the result that we're looking for, which I kind of like from Conte. I like him to keep certain cards close to his chest. I don't like it when you get some managers like Mourinho. I think was probably a bit too open, and obviously he'd throw people under the bus if things didn't go his way. But the players that he brings in this season, they have to. I mean, we've already mentioned it before, haven't we? Like, he needs another left centre back. He needs to upgrade on Davis at left centre back. He needs to bring in two top class wing backs, actual wing backs who know what the role is and are very good in those positions. And then you could argue that we probably need a creative midfielder, and then we need a backup to Kane, or not even a backup, but someone who can sort of, if Kane's injured or if Kane needs a rest or if things aren't working out with Kane, then that striker could come in and be like, well, okay, if you can't do it, I'm going to show you what I can do. But yeah.
3-2, bloody hell.
Jeez, that's what I was just thinking of. Let's go to a couple of comments. Right, Sean Hell, 40 watching, only 19 likes. Please hit that like button, Blair. Really gotta hit that like button for us. Really helps the channel out so we can get all the algorithms going and make sure that you can enjoy more content from Paxton Road. So make sure you hit that like button as well. Derek Hudson saying Stinky Winks needs to get out of the club. He's being a bit harsh on Winks. He needs to get out, but he's not stinky. I don't know personally if he smells. His football smells. Sanchez sub was well funny. It didn't. Yeah, it was funny because he brought him on the left-hand side as well. That was even more concerning because I've seen Sanchez play on that left-hand side and it's never ended out very well. We've got to win them games. We have to do the win. Look, let me come and ask you the last thing then, and I'll ask both of you. You can give me your monologues. What do you want to see the next game? And apart from the victory, I know that, but what do you want to see as a collective? Is it a mentality thing? Is it a technical? Is it tactical? Is it formation? Is it people change? Is it Conte? I don't know. What do you want to see in the next game, apart from just the result of a victory? I'll start with you, Mike. Go on then, Mike.
What do I want to see? to be fair, mate, at this stage of the season, first and foremost, I just want to see a victory.
Yep.
I don't care. To be fair, how we play, I'm not too precious about it because I just want points on the board. And at this stage of the season, the performance isn't so much as important as the 3 points. I think the performance is a bonus. But against Leicester, I don't want to see us sort of being bitches and just letting these teams come at us, because it just happens too much this season. Like, it's like, oh yeah, we learn to play without the ball. No, it's not that. I want to see us sort of take the game to the opposition, which we have done a few times under Conte. But what I want to see, as I say, 3 points. If I had to go in, if I had to break it down in a domino effect, 3 points, performance. I want to see positive substitutions earlier if we're chasing the game, or if we need a goal. I want to see those changes made earlier. Those would probably be the three main things that I would want to see against Leicester.
Yep. Brian, what's your thoughts? What do you want to see this weekend? I'm going to the game, by the way, people. So that's another thing. Look out for Spurs. And that was going to be part of the competition. If you find me at the stadium, I might have a hoodie or two to give away, but you got to find me first. Anyway,
I want to win a hoodie.
It's at home, isn't it?
It's at home, yeah.
So do you know what it is? Listen, I'm with Mike in the very front. Listen, we all want. I don't care if it's a 1-0 and it's an own goal in the 93rd minute. The 3 points is the main thing for me, and I'm only going to talk about this point because we're getting to this point of the season now where if we do not get off to a fast start and we do not start brightly, that stadium is going to be a powder keg. Now, I'm not talking about leave you in, leave you out. Take my allegiance to one side of that out the way. We had a golden opportunity, and it's slipping from our fingers. And every time, if we don't get off to a fast start or get an early goal, the tension's going to mount. And then obviously you think about it, the next game is Liverpool, and then the next game is the filth. And I'll tell you one thing, whether it's the top 4 decider or not, if we lose that, and since Tottenham is done, because remember they've got West Ham and Leeds, and if they get 6 points and we get, let's say, 0, and then they beat us, then that's it, done. If that happens, the place will be like a war zone. And I'm not talking, in that bit I am talking leave you in, leave you out will happen, but there is such a powder keg in that stadium right now that if there is not a fast start against Leicester, that stadium is not going to be pleasant. So what? And I know people go, oh, the players can really feel it and it distracts them. Well, sorry, you get paid 200 grand a week or whatever to go do your job, and when you start doing well, we rally behind you. So when you don't do that, we're going to get on your case, whatever way of the spectrum you are. So that place is going to be such a powder keg. And
this is the fine line, Brian. It's like that fine line for the players. And I agree with what you're saying. The fans should have the right to be able to do whatever they want if the players are not performing. But it's that fine line. If the players need that bit of a lift, we need to be with them. But they also need to show us that they want to have the fight for this battle. I want to see stomach. I want to see them, do you know what I mean? At home, as Mike was saying, we should be on the front foot. We shouldn't be doing this 5-4-1, waiting then to kind of counter-attack to score goals. We should be on the front foot. Leicester are going to be, remember, they would have played on Thursday. Regardless of what their result would be on Thursday, they would have played. They're going to play their strongest team on Thursday.
Yep.
So their strongest team cannot play Sunday. Or if they do play, they cannot be 100% because we've seen that's proven. Not to say they can't get a result. So if we cannot take advantage of this because we're playing first before Arsenal, we have to put the pressure on. I don't care how, like Michael said, I don't really care how we play, provided we show the fight and we win the game. We have to win.
Exactly. That's the thing. You got to remember, like when you talk about the fans as well, you look at it, all of us, whether we're me in Canada, you back home, or wherever you are around the world, we would give 90 minutes, and we would pay them to play on that pitch and do what they do. And we may not be as good, but one thing you would never doubt, any of us, is we would run through brick walls. We would
100%.
There would be no doubt about anything for that whatsoever. these players, it's not like we go to work and we get shafted on by our bosses or whatever. We get paid whatever we get paid. They get paid absolutely obscene amount of money, and it comes with the territory that if you're a footballer, when you're playing at home or away, the crowd are either going to be with you again, or they may turn against you if you're really, really bad. But when the tension is there, the only people that can lift the tension is you. You're the guys that train all week to do what you're doing. Yes, we need to, like you said, we are there to help you and rally you and be that 12th man. But you've got to give us something. We will always come out, and when they come out and they do the line up and shake the hands and do whatever, the place is packed. The place is rocking. Yeah. You'll hear the thing I love most. You'll hear when the Spurs. You'll hear Antonio, which is the loudest thing I've ever heard. Oh, mate, I swear to God, I would pay to play in that match. I would pay to play in that match. I'll do a Lewis Holtby against Lenny King's testimonial. But yeah, this is the thing. They always say that we need you, fans. We need you. We need you. Well, we need you as well. We need you to go on that pitch and do what you're the pressure. You played in World Cup or Euro finals. Some of them, Lloris, have played in World Cup finals. Playing for a top 4 push should be bread and milk to them.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
Agreed.
You'd hope so. Now, the thing is, this is what we should see now what this team is about this weekend. We have no choice. We're at home, so the fans will be there. It's not like we're away from home. We've got any hostile environment. The fans are there. As I said, I've given the synopsis about scenario about Leicester playing, blah, blah, blah. So everything is geared up for us. We're playing before the others as well. We have to win the game, regardless of whatever else happens. And then we can see, because if any game we can, afford to lose. You can't really afford to lose any games now. But if you're going to lose a game, you're going to really say Liverpool at Anfield is a game where no one's expecting us to win at any stage of the season, even at this point. So maybe that might be a point or not. The following game, I know we're doing one game at a time, it's them lot. So wherever we are, if we're 1 point behind, 2, whatever it would be, that's a must-win game anyway. So again, it's going to be interesting to see how they approach this game.
Yep.
We need to be in touch. We need to remain in touch in distance with Arsenal. Like, there's no point winning that North London derby if it doesn't mean anything in terms of the league table. We have to beat Leicester, and we have to get a point at least against Liverpool, because Arsenal have got West Ham and they've got Leeds.
Well, the next game is Newcastle, isn't it? Isn't the next game?
Is it? No, Newcastle was the game after us, the filth. So Arsenal's next games, they've got West Ham,
Leeds,
then us, then Newcastle, then Everton, which will be the dogfight. And I just want to say to Will and Joe, I'm not talking about booing the people and booing and jeering. I'm saying, have you seen when there's like nothing? There's just no atmosphere. Like, it's just that's what will happen. I'm not saying that we're going to boo them or start jeering them. I'm saying I'm not even telling you to do it. I'm saying if we do not get off to a fast start, that is what is going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah. They have to start fast, because they always say, that's the old saying in football, how you start is how your game's going to go. So if they start a bit tepid and slow and a bit nervous, that's going to translate into the fans. That's going to think, they're not as confident. They've got to, it's all well and good coming out after the game and saying, we want it's the fans, we want the fans. Well, show us then. Show us that you want us to be with you by going out in the first 5, 10, 15 minutes at home. And even if you can't play your best football, you show us that this is going to be right. We're up for the battle, because Conte keeps using this word, fight, cup final battle, fight. And I ain't seen it in the last 2 games. If I don't see it on this game coming up, I'm not going to be happy. So I'm going to be one of them fans there that's going to demand that the players do that. And if you find me, you might get a hoodie. That's all.
Hello, I found you. You're there. You're right there, top left.
So we'll have to see, because I'm not giving away any hoodies if we lose. Put it that way. So if you find me, I'll just say I ain't got them. That's what I'll do. If we lose,
thing is though, we have, like you say, we can't lose to Leicester and then go into that Liverpool game needing to win, because if we can't beat the likes of Brentford and Brighton, and we're needing to get 3 points against Liverpool, we're in.
Games are running out, and I think if we don't get 3 points against Leicester, I personally believe the mentality would be such that they wouldn't be able to recover from that. And so I think it would be done because if Arsenal beat West Ham-
Liverpool apparently is the last 104 visits, there 6 wins. So, that puts Chelsea into kind of perspective.
Days. I looked at it the other day. I looked at it the other day, Brian. I was trying to, and I couldn't see any W's for us. All I could see was L's, and I was like, "This
Mate, honestly, it's ridiculous." I mean, that is a stat and a half. I mean, like 104 visits, 6 wins.
And remember, Liverpool ain't lost at home this season as well. Not to make things worse, but let's get
Liverpool have not lost a Premier League game with Van Dijk in at Anfield.
There's got to be it can't go on forever though, can it? So that's what we've got to cling
Exactly.
We've got to cling to that hope as to at some point it's going to come to an end. So hopefully it'll be against us.
Come on. I just want them to win Sunday before we can make any assessments about Anfield.
Yeah, let's
just win Sunday. Win Sunday, then we can talk about the next game. Because if we don't win Sunday, we're in a lot of problems, a real lot of problems. Anyway, Brian, tell the viewers where they can find you.
Well, they can actually find me in 15 minutes on Tottenham on Tour, where we've actually got we're doing our live Tuesday pod where we've got a guy who I've wanted to get on for ages, a part of a Facebook group I'm on, which is called Die Hard Spurs, a guy called Adrian Strocker, who gets about in the community with a load of great comments. I've wanted to get him on for ages. He's coming on tonight, literally in 15 minutes, 13 minutes. And then tomorrow, which is a really big show, we're doing a pre-recorded show. We're doing a Leicester preview. But we're now doing a new series called More Than Just a Preview. So this will be the debut one. And I've actually got a Leicester fan. I'll be very quick with this. When I flew back because of Bob Spur at Christmas, when I was getting on the plane, I sang, I did a tweet outside the plane going, "I'm coming for you, I'm coming for you. My brother Bob Spur, I'm coming for you." Time I touched down, and I had a tweet from this guy, Wayne Holland, goes, "Well, the last time you sang that, you were chasing us for the league. How did that go?" And I was like, whoa, mate. You may not know me, but that's not the time to banter me. And he's like, "Oh, my God." I was like, "Oh, my God." And this guy, when I told him the story, he was like, "Oh, my God, I am so, so sorry." And we've actually brought up a really lovely friendship because of it. And it's been really, really nice. And he was tweeting every day. Can all the football fans retweet for Bob, blah, blah, blah. So tomorrow, the three of us are doing a Leicester preview where we're first of all going to talk to him about what it was like, that championship winning season for him. Then we're going to talk about the two owners and the slight differences and what they've done for Leicester in the community and everything like that. Then we're going to talk about a couple of great games, either side, Leicester-wise and us. For us, it's going to be the Bergwijn game and obviously the 6-2 when we came second. And then a match preview. So we're pre-recording it tomorrow and it'll be going out tomorrow night or Thursday morning. Tomorrow is Wednesday, Thursday morning. And then,
how many hours is that going to be? Because if I know you right, that's going to be quite a lengthy episode.
No. Do you know what? I think we're going for about the 1.5 to 2 hour mark, but it could be up until kickoff. So it may become like a live podcast.
That's definitely 2 hours.
But I've just got to say, do you know what, boys? It's been brilliant being back on your channel. We have to get you on Tottenham on Tour ASAP. It's been wonderful spending time with you. And absolutely love being on Paxton Road. So everyone like and subscribe to them as well. But thank you for having me on, guys.
It's always good to have you on, Brian, mate.
Mike, do you want to just say anything about where you want the viewers to find you? Because I don't want anybody to find me at the stadium if we're losing. Don't forget that. No hoodies are getting lost if we're losing.
Mate, I'm a regular squatter here on Paxton Road, as everyone knows.
He's a diva as well because he's coming like this today.
He's a diva. He's just
I'm the Paxton Road diva.
What colour are you announced today,
Mike? You can find me on Twitter, tweeting nonsense as normal, as it says there, Hotspur Hustler. Yeah.
Cool. Well, look out for our preview show, which I will be doing. The review show, Darius 3K will be doing that on Sunday. I might do a couple of little things from the stadium if I can get online or whatever. But also look out, as I said before, we're going to have some hoodies to give away, various different ones on Twitter. But I'm going to have a few at the stadium. So if you are watching and one of the viewers are watching and you manage to find Sam's Spurs for Life, I might put a hoodie on or something like that. Then I will give you a hoodie. That's all I can say. It might not be the right size, but if you've got a medium, you might have someone you want to give it to. But anyway, doesn't matter. As long as you're promoting Paxton Road TV, that's all we really care about. And breathe. That is it. Gentlemen, Mike.
I have to say, have you seen? It's actually become a ritual. I do this now as I'm about to sign off. People on We Are Tottenham TV and everyone, or wherever I am, they start going like this now. It's become a thing. And as always, leave the out. So yeah, I just had to get that in there.
We did well. We did really well this show. And we ended it well. So that's all good. But no, that's brilliant. Thank you very much, guys. We, like you said, come on, you Spurs. We got to do this. We got to stay with the team. Make sure you hit the like button. Notification bell. I keep forgetting to remember the notification bell is also very good. Put your comments in the comment section below and share the content around. Mike, Brian, it's been brilliant as always.
Pleasure.
Spurs, we've got to stay with them, and the players, you've got to show us that you really want this top four. Don't give me this, oh well, it's in our hands. Show us it's in your hands. Take the 3 points on Sunday, and then we can breathe again before we go to Anfield next week. Anyway, that is it. We're out of here. See you later.